Welcome back to Zuko Builds. Sorry my videos haven't been as consistent lately. I have a bunch of orders coming in and I also started a part-time gig at another wood studio. So this new schedule is all over the place right now. Trying to get a grasp of it while still making videos for you guys. But I wanted to do something a little fun today, and it's with pattern ply. It's not what you're thinking though. I do have videos on how to do the chevron pattern with plywood edging. This time, I'm gonna use the face of the plywood. Don't mind this. I went a little too deep with my planer, so that's the veneer that's kind of missing. Gonna use the face of plywood this time, and I'm also just gonna use regular pine and do it the same way I would to make the chevron pattern. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, be sure to watch it. I'll leave a link down below or at the end of the video. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, I'm not going to be doing too much talking in this video because like I said, I have a whole separate video showing you exactly how to make these chevron patterns, so if you haven't watched that yet, please check it out. I'll briefly take you through what I'm doing just so you're not totally in the dark if you don't know how to make this pattern yet. You want to start by ripping your material down to the final thickness that the panel will be. And to keep this thinner, I'm just ripping these down to 1/2-inch strips. That first board was with all of my pine that I'll be using, and now I'm just doing the same thing with my plywood. Before I first glue up, you want to line these all up with a straight edge and using the 45-degree side. This is going to allow you to use more material and not waste so much, but just be sure to mark the side that will be showing on the end. So in this case, I flipped all of these over to their edge and I'll line them up with the 45-degree side of the square and mark a line. Then just flip them all over so that the face is showing now so that you can glue the faces together and having the edges show on top. You want to do your best to keep this panel nice and flat on both the top and bottom, so to help do that, I just have a couple of cauls, which is just scrap wood with some packing tape so that it doesn't stick to the panel, and clamping these in place. This will help keep everything nice and flat. Then go ahead and add a couple more clamps. You want to try to clean up as much of the glue squeeze out as possible. I actually should have done this before adding the cauls, but it's okay. Just take a damp rag, wipe the glue down, and for me, I'm going to pass this through the planer, so I'm not too worried about getting every part of the surface cleaned because I know it's going to clean up in the planer. But if you don't have a planer, just make sure to give this a good wipe down. Then I'll go ahead and do the same thing to my other panel, which is out of plywood this time, and this is just a closer look of what I mean by lining them up with the 45-degree side of your square. Then I'll go ahead and start gluing up all of the strips of my plywood, and the only difference here compared to making edge grain patterns is I'll be gluing the edges so that the faces are showing in the final product. So if you're doing it this way as well, just keep that in mind. To clean up the squeeze out on the bottom side, I just take an old beat up chisel and lightly scrape the glue off the top. I get as much as I can off without having to dig into the material, and then I'll pass it through my planer. If you don't have a planer, then you want to clean up the top side and then wait a few minutes, flip it over, clean up the bottom side, and then give it a really good sanding. Before running both of my panels through the planer and giving them a good sanding, you want to cut off this 45-degree mark we made. And this panel was narrow enough that I can use my miter saw, but most of the time you'll probably use a circular saw with a straight edge. Then I'll just go ahead and take it through my planer, making sure to take off a very small amount each pass until everything is nice and flat. Once everything is flat and smooth, we want to press that 45-degree angle against our fence to make 45-degree angle rip cuts. And the width of these is going to depend on how fast or how slow you want the pattern to repeat itself. So if you go a ½ inch, the W's are going to repeat very quickly. I have mine at 1 inch to kind of slow that pattern down a little bit and spread it out throughout the panel. Then just go ahead and glue it up as you would the chevron pattern. Like I said, if you haven't checked out that video on how to make this, please check it out. You just want to make sure that your pattern lines up across each and every strip. I let these cure for the rest of the day. Now I'm just unclamping everything and we should have a super sturdy panel. I'm just going to give everything a light pass through the planer once again and then sand everything down to 220 to make it nice and buttery smooth. The last step before applying any sort of finish or cutting these into the shapes that you want is to cut off the arrows. And once again, this panel was narrow enough for me to use my miter saw, but most of the time I'll probably use a circular saw on a straight edge or a crosscut sled on my table saw. You can see here with the plywood, it looks like a woven basket. I kind of like it, but this pine to me looks super cool. It almost looks like feathers. I really love this design. I decided I wanted to make a couple of book page holders. If you haven't watched that video either, be sure to check it out. I'll leave that link down in the description below as well. And I'm just gonna run through that whole process, so if you want to learn how to make one, be sure to check out that video. Here you have it, guys. I'm just gonna apply some dark walnut Danish oil, and that's really gonna let this pattern pop. So you're pretty much done. You could have left it at the panel or cut them into whatever you want. Super happy with the way this came out, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. I went ahead and applied oil to the rest of the panel as well, just to give you a better idea of what it looks like. Like I said, that pine looks totally awesome. This plywood, it's okay. It looks kind of cool, but I really like the feathery texture of the pine. Okay guys, there you have it. I really love the way the pine came out. It almost looks like a feather. It has the appearance of a fuzzy texture, almost really soft. I just want to touch it all day. So I'm super stoked with the way this one came out. I might make some drawer faces or even like a small coffee table with this. Super stoked, love it. And with the plywood face, it almost looks like a woven basket. So this is also kind of cool. I do like the pine, the way that came out a little bit better than the face of the plywood, but still super cool. You can make some fun things out of this. And I just wanted to experiment because that's what woodworking is all about. Just have some fun, play with things, and you come out with pretty cool projects like this. I love the pine. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I will try to post more regularly every Monday. I'm just gonna get a grasp of this new schedule. So if you liked the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, turn on that bell notification to be notified whenever I post a new video. And check out my Instagram where I post photos of all of my builds at Zuko Builds. So I'll see you guys hopefully next week. I'm gonna try to be good every Monday. I'll see you guys next Monday.